Yep.
I say more like good morning. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah.
All right, we are live, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Grindcast. This is the 4th episode. Today I am delighted to have very grindful guests. So we're starting a bit late, but whatever. It's great to have you guys on. So you guys wanna do a little round of introductions, please?
Thank you for having us, Orhun. Shall I start or anyone else?
Yeah,
You can
cool.
start by Yashnav.
I am Vishnu. I recently started learning Rust. It's been around 4-5 months since I started doing Rust. Then I came across Ratatouille while I was doing Rust, and yeah, so I'm really into it right now. uh, so I'm currently in my final year of college, doing electronics. My interests are anime, I guess, anime and manga, and learning Japanese. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I go next. Well, I've been writing Rust for a couple of years, I think 2 years. I mostly focus around cybersecurity topics, and yeah, that's basically it.
Nice. I'm gold, silver, copper. I love Rust. I'm super annoying about how much I love Rust, and Rust is the best of all time. Thank you.
I agree. I completely agree. And yeah, gold, silver, copper. About your GitHub, right? GitHub activity. Do you sleep?
No,
Seriously.
I do not sleep. I do not sleep.
So seriously, how the hell did you get 2 lakh contributions in this year alone? 3 months.
That's crazy.
I mean, so to just be completely honest, that was definitely a script that I wrote. I did not have 2 million manual contributions. It was a genius script that came to me in a dream that I just had to write, and it worked. So
I'm still surprised
Seriously.
that you're not banned.
yo, me too, man.
Looked at the GitHub. I'm like, does this dude even sleep?
I actually looked into it, and so someone said that they made like a similar repository with like a bunch of fake commits, and when they got to 15 million, it took up more than like a terabyte. It took up more than a terabyte on the GitHub servers. And so GitHub contacted them saying they have to delete their repo because it was like slowing down their whole global services. So I guess if someone wants to take down GitHub, you can make a bunch of repositories with millions and millions of commits and upload them. Also, I would not recommend that because you will almost certainly be banned.
Yeah. Twitch anyway, so not a problem for me.
Just a couple million though, that's okay. Just a couple million.
Couple million, sure. You make it sound so easy, man.
How big is the repo in terms of size, like megabytes or gigabytes?
I think on my disk it's like it's about 100 megabytes or a few hundred megabytes. Purely commit data, right? I think what they were saying, the person who wrote the blog post, was that like on the server when it gets like expanded, like they kind of like build up a tree and stuff. Like I don't know, they start processing it somehow, and so when it starts getting expanded, it starts becoming like exponentially bigger. So I'm not sure completely how that works, but it's about 100 megabytes on disk for me right now. But then when it gets expanded, it gets a lot bigger.
So is it like all empty commits, or do you actually write to a file? Okay.
Yeah, it's all commits.
Interesting.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
I can link the script people are interested.
Oh yes, please.
I'm just scared to run that, man. Like, it seems very risky to do.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't link it actually, so that people don't get banned.
Yeah, well, I kind of want to get hired, so if you don't mind.
But I mean, yeah, it looks super cool. 2 million.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the recruiters actually look at the stuff we do on GitHub.
Yeah, so the version I'm gonna link is kind of like a slower version I wrote. Okay, so I wrote, right? It's AI. AI wrote this. And I wrote a Rust version afterwards that makes it so I can do like billion commits really fast. But again, if you post more than 10 million, you get shut down. So
is it like 10 million per day, or is it like total 10 million?
I think he means in total, right? In a year, probably.
Yeah, so okay, so the first version that AI spit out was across all time. So actually, if you go to my repo, if you go to my GitHub profile on desktop and you start scrolling down, you'll start seeing that I actually have commits now from the 1970s and the 1980s because it just randomly would like commit there. And then I wanted it to be like all green for the last year, so I wrote a version that just does commits in the last year randomly.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. I can't make heads or tails of the script, but I'll look into it.
I just wanna like create a dummy commit on 1983. Just one commit there and then just jump back to 2000s. Would be fun. But I mean, it doesn't really it doesn't really show any like activity from 90s like or like 70s. It doesn't show anything on the contribution graph. It just says like you had no activity, but it shows like the year, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea why.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Maybe it's it just does all the years in between that you had commits. So it says I have one commit in 1969. It says I have 3 contributions in 1969.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh the list is really long.
Check the commit history, man. Scripts. So, 2 commits. That's it. I don't think it's this. But damn, 2,152 and 494 contributions in the last year. Holy shit. Oh yeah, I found the 2 million commit one. Okay. Add greeting to readme C119 blah blah blah. Okay. 2 weeks ago, last month on Jan. Okay. Let's see if I can get to the last directly. File time. Yeah, let's. Okay.
Thanks for your PR on Mousefoot, by the way, for the modifiers. I think it's ready to go.
Of course. Yeah, that was a super fun one to work on. I had a bunch of the code already ready from like working on software Ratatouille and stuff. So I was just like, let me just clean it up and send it. But I mean, I really appreciate your reviews. I think they made the code like a ton better. So I thank you as well, man.
Yeah, no worries. It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I was not like fully sure if having like a blinking cursor is really makes sense in terms of embedded, but it's fun. I mean, if you want to do that now, you can do it, because it's not like a real terminal. But yeah, I don't know. Feels kind of weird to have non-terminal stuff on. Sorry, terminal stuff on non-terminal environment, but that's just what Ratatouille is these days, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where to go with the cursor because I mean I fully agree with you. I just did it like for completeness. That's all.
Yeah. It looks super cool. I think somebody asked this question though. Like, sorry, if I interrupted somebody, but someone at the conference 2-3 weeks ago, they asked about this. They asked like, how do you render on embedded? Because they described like in the terminal there you have this cursor and it's moving around and placing like characters, and then basically moving around. Is that the same logic on embedded? And I was like, no, we don't have cursor or like this terminal stuff in embedded, but now we have, so it's kind of cool. Anyways.
Yeah, Orhun, just one thing.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead?
Sorry, say again.
Right. No. About the PR I opened, right, for the HTML32 example.
Yeah.
And the checks which are failing, the typo ones. I mean, I don't know if that can be changed because it's part of the code, right? It's saying HSI should be his and all of that. So,
I think
any?
Yeah, I think there should be a configuration file. You can ignore certain words if they are causing issues.
Right. Okay. I'll look into that then.
Yeah, we have.
Because it's saying yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same like configuration file in Ratatouille. We're basically saying that Ratatouille is not a typo because it tries to correct it to Ratatouille, the food.
Ratatouille.
So yeah, just look into typos.toml file, I guess. Rob, are you there? Welcome.
Hello.
Report now. Typo.
How's it going, Rob?
Pretty good. Just got back from the gym. Now it's back to grinding and coding, I guess.
Which coding, Rob?
Still working on the Python compiler. Making good progress, I would say. So kind of almost there with like language support or support of the different language features. I'm gonna try to have the Dunder new support tonight, maybe. And then like in the last couple of days, I did a bit of performance work. So, yeah. So going pretty well, I think.
That's dope. What's your main reason for wanting to write a Python compiler?
Python is hilariously slow, and like the only compiler-ish thing that exists is like PyPy, but it's also kind of ass because it's just in time. Facebook had like some internal tool they used, but it's basically like a full C Python fork, so I can't use that. And then everyone else is just trying to get like GPU things going, and I don't know, I was pissed off by the Python Foundation not fixing performance, so me and a friend decided we have to do it. Yeah, basically just having fun playing around with compilers and whatever. Like no proper reason, I guess.
Have you considered the fact that you don't have to use Python?
Yeah, well, many people do use Python, right? So
yeah, that's true.
So I mean, like I can try convincing everyone to just write Rust instead, but probably not going to happen. So I have to kind of fix the issue wherever it occurs.
I think you should convince everyone to use Rust instead.
I'm
the
doing
only
my
way.
best.
Yeah. I don't know about Python, but I think besides performance, there's other issues with the language. But yeah, that's my opinion.
What issues do you think there are, Shard?
Oh, for example, the type system. I think it should be like strictly typed and not like optional. Yeah.
That's
And
true.
also, I'm not sure, but did they remove the GIL? Because
No,
that
it's
was
an option right now.
yeah, okay. It's
Yeah, last
annoying.
year it's an optional thing, right? The GI.
Yeah, but I don't understand why they don't make it default.
Yeah, no clue.
Like it would make sense to have it on by default, but yeah. Well, to have it off, but yeah.
Oh, it will be turned off as a default in one of
Okay,
the
so
upcoming
they're
releases.
still testing, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite a deep change, actually. So
I think there's some additions to Python syntax where you can write it more rusty kind of Python, but adding the types and stuff, I guess. I don't know, like data types and stuff. I think I tried it out, yeah. So you can add the data types like you do in Rust. So, but without the let keyword, I guess.
yeah, we're actually kind of enforcing that. So I mean, if you want to compile it properly, you need the type information. So we kind of force you to have the annotations, or we can do some inference in many cases. Yeah, but in the end, you will still have to write types. Like you're not getting around that.
And I think either way, that's like more of a good practice in Python. Well, at least like all the production code bases I've seen also like had type enforcement and stuff, which is great.
Right. The LSP I use is kind of strict about that. So I guess I gotta get used to that.
Yeah, I remember using Python back in the day and having to debug like issues because the library I was using would return an array instead of like a string, like for like certain edge cases. And I like had no idea, like that wasn't in the docs anywhere or anything like that. And it was like just in the middle of my whole pipeline. And I was just like, bro, like what is going on for just days until like, oh, why is this returning an array all of a sudden?
Yeah. That's exactly the kind of issues you'll have. And I hate it.
Yeah, no, it was so painful. It was so
It's
painful.
annoying. I used to write some decent amount of JavaScript back in the days, and yeah, same issues basically where you have no fucking idea why you get a specific data type, and you kind of have like to debug everywhere just to like go through all the values.
Yeah, after like using languages like that and then moving to Rust, it just feels like a genuine design mistake.
Yeah.
I literally forgot how to write normal Python code after I learned Rust. Started adding parentheses to everything.
Orhun, what you working on? Actually, okay, here's a better question. Recently you said you got burnt out. What happened, man? What happened? And how are you feeling now?
I'm doing better. I'm trying to like so right now I think it's one of those times that your life is changing a bit, and I have forced this change on myself a little bit. So that's why I was feeling really uncomfortable with the things for the past 2-3 weeks, and this is related to trying to find a job. Basically, I've been looking for something for 3 months almost, and there were some companies that I talked to. A lot of waiting and a lot of talking happened, and last week especially was a bit difficult because I had to make a decision. Now I made the decision. I just accepted certain things, and yeah, that's why I was just feeling like really burnt out. You know, I was doing open source, and I was just at the same time just questioning everything, basically. And yeah, on top of that, if you're unemployed and if you're doing open source, you're probably gonna feel me. There's like always something to do, and there's like, you know, you cannot really, there's no end to working. You know, there's no like hours, or like there's no like weekends. So it's really easy to burn out. So yeah, I was just doing that, and on top of that, I was just trying to like figure out my next move. So yeah, but I made a decision. It's a pretty big thing. I cannot disclose it now, but yeah, some people gonna like it, some people won't like it, but we'll see. Guys, don't worry, I didn't join OpenAI, but
I mean, you do what you want, man.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we all need to gain some money, and yeah, I think it's legit.
Yeah, I hope that whatever you do, like that it brings you wealth and happiness and makes you more stable, and I hope you enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will share with you guys in the upcoming weeks. Right now it's a bit unofficial still, but yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good thing personally for me. I will keep doing the things that I'm doing. Obviously, I have some essentials in my life that I want to just keep doing. One of them is open source, Ratatouille, Rust, and so on, and the other one is just going to the gym. So I'll keep those around, but the environment will change, basically. So yeah.
So you might be moving, or
Yes, yeah, basically.
out of Turkey, or within Turkey?
Basically switching countries. So
Oh,
it'll be
damn.
interesting. Yeah.
What country are you at right now?
Yeah, that's the part that I won't say for now, but basically it's a pretty big decision, and hopefully everything will go right. I mean, I still have time, a lot of time actually, probably more than 3-4 months, and yeah, they're just gonna deal with some paperwork stuff. Gonna, you know, do the logistics and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for whatever's coming, because you know I've been doing some things, but sometimes you gotta just get lost to find your way a bit, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm just making myself uncomfortable just to find, you know, like just to force myself to do more things, basically, because things are a bit stable now in terms of what I'm doing, and open source and Rust and so on. So I should do something different, I feel like. I don't know, does it make sense to you guys? Am I just going insane?
Yeah, definitely. Well, no, I think you're like, I would have done the same. Like, I mean, it's totally legit, you know. Even like just getting a stable job and like maybe doing a little bit less open source. At the end of the day, like I said before, we all need to make some money, and yeah, we, besides open source, there's also like personal stuff, and I think that's more important than the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, I think I gotta leave. It's a bit late for me. Thanks for having me. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, you
Thanks
too.
for stopping by.
Take
Have a
care.
good night.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace.
But yeah, and also I think, I don't know if y'all agree with me, but I think also something else with open source, sometimes I feel like, especially on open source, is it's hard to really be satisfied from a project, because like Orhun said, there's always things to do, right? So it's always, well, you kind of achieve a milestone, and then there's the next one. So you're like, oh, okay, I got to focus on the next one, and you can't really like reflect and be satisfied with the current work.
No, but I think that's the case with everything, right? Like even if you have a job, there always is the next thing to
Yeah,
do, the next promotion to get.
that's true, but I think, well, it depends. But I think depending on your like, how can I say that, like, depending on the context and the company, you might not be that attached to the company that than you are on an open source project that you maintain.
I think it depends, right? If it's kind of like if you have a normal job and you don't have shares in the company, you're not in management, whatever,
Yeah.
then it's probably more like not a project you maintain, but you would, I guess you could compare it more to like some kind of open source thing that you send a pull request to from time to time that you're also not super attached to. And then like if you maintain a big project, that's kind of, I guess, more similar to running your own company, or at least having some sort of higher position. And I think then it kind of gets more or less the same.
Yeah, true, but I don't know. I think, yeah, like you said, I think it depends on your position in the company, but I think there's still like this kind of segmentation where, well, you have work hours, right? And then, well, you finish work, then you do other things, right? Obviously, it depends now if you have like um um
But if it's your own company, you don't really have work hours
yeah,
either,
obviously,
right?
if it's on your own company, then it's
And I
different,
think
but
if you're the maintainer of a big project, that is kind of like owning the thing, almost. Like not quite because it's open source.
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't think you'd work on it. Well, it depends, but in general, I'm not sure if like you'd work on its like off off office hours or on the weekends, like you would like maybe do with open source projects. I think there's still a bit more separation.
Yeah. I also agree with that. I mean, if you're running a company, you can probably take the weekend off because your clients, I'm just, roughly speaking, maybe your clients are not available. They're just having other stuff on the weekend, but open source is not like that. You have people available all the time usually. I mean, I did a live stream on Saturday. My goal was to just work on my backlog and then finish up most of the items there. The live stream took like 8 hours, and at the end I had more items in the backlog because more that I worked on stuff, more notifications that I got from those PRs and issues, because follow-ups and stuff like that. And at the end, actually, there was like new issues, like people just created more issues and more PRs and so on. So it's really easy to burn out like that if you have certain goals. And after that live stream, I didn't live stream for a while because I was like, damn, I couldn't hit that goal. It's it's just too difficult, and I should not approach open source like this. I should more like, if it's fun, I'm gonna work on it, and if it's not, I'm not gonna work on it, because
Yeah.
it's otherwise it's not sustainable.
Yeah, I agree, and obviously I guess that gets hard when like you have big projects and a lot of people depend of it. Well, obviously you kind of like take it more seriously, and maybe like you can have like less the fun approach. Obviously that depends on the number of maintainers, but yeah.
Yeah, I think an important thing like that I kind of keep in mind in my mindset while doing open source is that like you're really not beholden to anyone. So it's kind of like y- it's good to be proactive and listening to the community and being on top of things. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like I'm just kind of doing this whatever. If you got an issue, you can submit a PR, you can fork it if you want. Like I don't really have to do anything. Like I'm just chilling really, but I don't know. I think it's good to be just, very, very loose about it sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I usually take like 2 days off when I feel really tired from doing things, and just do the absolute minimal, because yeah, otherwise this thing just stops being something fun. You just constantly, you're like a help desk, like a constant help desk. You just like answering issues and doing reviews and implementing things for people, but you should just enjoy it.
Yeah, and also like the thing is, well, if you start to like respond less, then the people will start like to criticize it and like say, well, okay, the maintainer isn't that active. Maybe we should change crates or change project. So yeah, I think that's also like one thing that some people don't consider is that like even maintainers have a life, right? They can just like respond to peers and review all the time.
Yeah, that's why I try to include more people in Ratatouille now, like adding more maintainers, because I realized my time will be limited, and I am just kind of tired. And yeah, it would be nice to just have more people doing reviews and tests, and I don't know, helping out with the overall stuff. I mean, sometimes on Discord, people ask like really simple questions, but they just sit in the channel for 2 days because no one is available to answer. But they're just like really easy questions, just one sentence or something. So yeah, not just PRs, but like also, you know, more like engaging with the community and stuff like that too. So yeah, it's just all in all just a social thing actually. So yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
community is really like sorry, what do you want to say
Yeah,
over?
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that like community is just so important in open source, and it's kind of probably like 80%, 90% of the reason I do it. It's just like, cool to engage with people and you like it's like you don't want to just burn out doing random stuff and then like never engage again because it's like for me it's almost like half the people I ever talk to and like half the communities I interact with are all about open source. So for me it's like if I were to just stop doing open source, it's like bro, like I gotta get a new like gotta get new friends, gotta get new everything. It's kind of like my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that also depends on people. I think like personally, I have like a lot of friends which like don't do open source or like also aren't specifically in in programming fields or stuff. But I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's a unique situation for everyone.
Yeah.
Shard, have you been working on any interesting projects recently?
Yeah, well, lately, like on the open source side, I've been working on some kind of malware sandboxing framework. I'm not sure if you're like familiar with the existing solutions, like maybe you've heard of like Cape v2.
I have not.
Okay. Well, basically, I'm just like creating some kind of malware analysis sandbox slash framework, where basically, well, you upload your file and it will analyze it. So the core concepts around my project is that I want to create something that's very modular. So basically, all the analysis goes through plugins, and you can also like create your own provider implementation. So you can like implement your own virtualization backend. Maybe you could use Docker or QEMU, whatever. So yeah, the goal is really like to create some kind of framework and really like so that it fits like a lot of the needs from different types of users.
I don't know too much about all that, but it sounds really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, and also I'm I'm also using it because basically I'm collaborating with a few people, and we're basically like creating a little startup for malware analysis. So we're also using this as the backend. Whilst like the other people, they focus on the actual analysis plugins, and I focus on working in the backend. So yeah, it's also a plus, and it motivates me to work on it.
That is super cool, man.
Yeah, thanks.
I love watching cybersecurity conferences just because I think it's so cool. Because it's kind of like watching like a real life hacker movie, or like not a hacker movie, but it's like you get to like watch real life hackers, right? And like I don't know, they talk a lot about like the situation on the ground, whatever. Like a lot of them have been saying lately that like because of AI and stuff, there's a lot more threats nowadays. Like they're way more active, and that there's like not really enough people in the cybersecurity field. So what do
Yeah.
you think about that, Shard?
Well, first of all, like AI can be really, it's actually like really great at pen testing, especially like web pen testing. So, for example, on bug bounty platforms, I have a few friends now that basically they created like the whole AI pipelines, right? And they basically automate it, and they will basically so the AI you basically like give a specific bug bounty scope, right? And then the AI will basically like test stuff, etc. And it actually works very well. So that's a big part, and also like in general, like in red teaming and like offensive security, AI is actually really useful. Um, so I think yeah, it kind of opens more jobs, but at the same time you need less people testing, especially people like that aren't like um very specific on areas, because the AI can basically kind of replace them in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah, one thing I was hearing is that kind of like, so like you're saying people can be easily replaced, but what I was kind of hearing was that like there's not enough people in the field, like that there's
Yeah,
like not enough
I think
people.
there's definitely, well, I think a lot of people wants to get into cybersecurity and are searching, but there's not a lot of people that are actually like very knowledgeable. So there's definitely like a need for talent. Well, I guess kind of like everywhere, but in general, I'm not sure, to be honest. I kind of like feel like there's the same amounts of jobs in programming, for example. Because like with AI, for example, if you work like I don't know if you see what a SOC is, Security Operations Center. So like for example, people that will like triage and like respond to like security alerts on the users' computers and stuff. But basically, there's different layers to that, and the layer one is basically like the most easy task, right? So where you basically just focus on like general triage, and for example, with that, well, you can easily replace it with AI. So I think it really depends on the topics. I don't, to be honest, I don't really know.
Hey, Orhun, what do you think about cybersecurity? Like, you do a lot of open source work. Like, how often do you maybe see threats in your open source work or something suspicious?
It's been a while, I think, but I really want to see something one day. That really excites me. I mean, I have a background, a little bit of background in cybersecurity. Mostly, back then it was not called like offensive security or anything like that. It was just more like ethical hacking, back in those days. So, yeah, if I run into something someday, I would be really happy because I feel like, okay, this is a weird take, but I feel like there are a lot of things that you can exploit in open source,
Yeah.
and I haven't I haven't seen anything like it yet because I do packaging as well, and I run a lot of random software on my computer. Um, every time that I do, like every time I'm trying a new tool or something like that, I look into the code, I check the dependencies, and I'm still surprised that nobody tried to, do something sneaky yet.
Yeah. We
Kind of,
definitely, I feel like,
yeah.
oh, sorry, I cut you
No,
off.
no,
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 I
no,
let
no.
you.
Go,
Okay.
go ahead.
I feel like we put a lot of trust in open source things, and like you just said, like we could easily exploit it, and like 99% of the people, they will never check the code or only like parts of it. So I feel like if you want, you can really infect a lot of people like that. And I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
like eventually it will happen.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna give you a scenario. This is something that I've been thinking about. Um, let's say you want to hack me, right? It's just really easy. If I was not really careful, you could hack me really easily. So just go ahead, create a Ratatouille project, with AI, obviously, and then inject something in there in your dependencies, maybe, or some code, some payload or something like that. I'll probably gonna run that on my local environment. It's easy as that, but nobody has tried that yet because I'm just constantly checking the things that I'm doing, and I'm running stuff in containers and so on. But it's just that easy. I'm just an easy target if I was not careful. There are like a lot of scenarios out there like this, and the reason why I'm thinking this way is because yeah, because of my background. I'm always like thinking in terms of am I hackable now? Because if I am thinking this way, then I'm kind of like defining myself in a sense. I don't know, maybe I'm just paranoid.
No, that makes sense. I think most of the people should think like that. And I think like you say, you're an easy target, but I think a lot of people don't even like read the code or run it in Docker containers and stuff. I think a lot of people just like download the crate or download the binary and run it directly, and that's it. And I think also with like I know there's a few malicious crates out there, or I've seen a few, but I'm sure like if someone like creates some crates, makes it kind of useful at the beginning, and then like with an update inject some malicious code, it could like hit a lot of people.
Yeah, there was one guy who basically cloned all the like the popular Rust CLI tools and publishing them with a different name, and then kind of like sharing it around on social media and so on. And he got to a point where he actually had more like followers and more stars than the actual project. And once I got tricked by his like fake project. I don't remember what I did, but I interacted with the project, and then the original author just came up to me and said, "Hey, this is my project, but this guy just basically rebranded it and just shared it as if he owns it and so on." And I think GitHub, they didn't take any action about this, and he is still around, if I'm guessing. So
That's crazy.
yeah, it's just so crazy. And he's been around for like at least 2 to 3 years, because one of my like old friends from the Rust ecosystem, he also warned me about this guy like back in the day as well. So I'm like, okay, you can do this, and you can get like followers and like actual stars, and people send you PRs with like literally just a fake project, and it was just insane. So there are so many things to exploit in open source. It's crazy.
Yeah. And even I think like open source like supply chain attacks. Well, we've seen that before, right? But there's been a few like really impactful. The one that I remember, which was really big, was the one about those JavaScript libraries. I don't remember. I think it was like some JavaScript library. It was a few JavaScript libraries where the owner like got his account compromised, and they started like pushing some crypto mining stuff, I think, or like crypto stealing. And yeah, it had actually like these libraries had a few millions downloads per week. So yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I wonder like what are the attacks like in the Rust ecosystem nowadays? I've seen people like create typo squatted packages, but I don't know what they're doing actually. I've seen like this new crates.io policy where they will basically, I don't know, have some kind of a report system or whatever. But like I'm kind of curious, like what can you do with a dependency attack? You can probably do a lot of damage, but I don't know. I haven't seen a blog post where breakdown of a Rust security vulnerability or something like that. I think that would be fun to read.
I think I've seen one. Maybe I can find it again.
Yeah.
I've read a. Oh, do you want to say something? Okay, I've read a few blog posts about kind of like related topics, and they were saying that actually like the Rust security situation around that is like horrible because you can really just like using the macro system and like the like build system of Cargo, you can really just inside your like build system you can have like a script that downloads literally anything and like runs it. So if someone wants to, they can just literally do anything. They can like execute anything. They can download anything they want. They can run anything. Not in root probably, but also like who knows? Like if they have some 0 day.
Yeah, and even without 0 days nowadays, there's a lot of ways to like privilege, so like escalate privileges. I used to work at an EDR company, so I don't know if y'all like know what an EDR is. It's like some kind of advanced antivirus, simply said. But so basically, we had like access to a lot of logs from our clients, and yeah, once you basically have like the access points, most of the time, if you have, it's not even about skills. Like you just need like to have like the good methods and like and the way to proceed, and you most of the time, like at the end of the day, you will achieve a privilege escalation, and yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising the whole internet hasn't burned down at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There was one, I think, vulnerability or something that I heard from someone is when you load a project, a Rust project, I think some LSP or some, I don't remember which editor, but it was running some code and then you could probably inject something there, but I don't know. Like macros are just black box, so you can probably do anything in the macros. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen like a static I don't know what you call like the scanner type of thing as well. So I don't know, how do you guys like make sure that Rust code is safe? Is there a way to do that?
I think there's some like tools, but I've never used them, and like it's more like company focused. I think like I just like read some of the codes to some extent, so yeah. And I try to not like use little crates or like not that much known crates. So yeah, I think that's the most that then we can do, like, because at some point like it's hard like to you take a crate and then like you need to like scan it and stuff, especially when like those products that like do things like that are like behind companies, and they're usually not free, so yeah.
Yeah, I definitely just YOLO it every single time. So
Maybe it's a bit of a naive approach, but I basically search for std process command in the code base, just thinking that if they're gonna do something fishy, they would call some external tool. But I mean, yeah, it's not the best way of ensuring
Yeah, I mean,
security.
at least like it's. I think a lot like a lot of stuff. A lot of like people would do that. Would use like process to like to spawn a process, but yeah, there's definitely some other ways, obviously, to bypass this, and there will always be. That's the thing, right? It's always like, anyways, like detection and detecting malicious stuff. It has always been like a cat and mouse game. So yeah.
yeah, there's like tons of ways to obfuscate and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and there's always new techniques, right? There's always new techniques, and then they eventually get detected, and then there's new ones and bypasses and stuff. And yeah, it will never end.
I have I have a fun tool that I've built that I want to share. It's not about Rust, but this is at this point archived. But back in the day, I worked on something like this, and
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of, I don't know, kind of pointless, but it was fun to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. How did you like? What techniques did you use for obfuscation?
I think what we were doing is basically there was one library that we used to parse the code, and then we I don't remember, man. We just replaced the variables and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
It was very basic, I think. It's a single file. No, it's not. I
Yeah,
don't remember.
I'm reading through the code.
It's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's these kinds of projects are fun. Like I also like I worked on a rootkit. I can also link it. With a few friends back in the day. Like, it wasn't that long ago. I think it was like 1 year ago. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Like it doesn't really like have any purpose apart from research and like just kind of a fun project. But yeah, I actually like personally I enjoy like writing things like that.
Yeah. All right, time to tell your malware stories, guys. Give me one of them.
Malware.
Yeah. Something fun. Something
I
that
don't know,
you
like
have built, maybe.
I haven't built much hardware. I think like I've written a lot of detection for it. Um, yeah, at a company that I was, like I said, like the other company. One of my like primary occupations was to basically write detection rules. So I don't know if y'all know about Yara and Sigma.
I think I heard of it.
Yeah, so basically you have Yara, which is a tool to basically pattern match bytecodes, right? Or bytecode, right? So files. And so you essentially what you do if you want to detect a specific malware or malicious binary, you'll open the binary in, I don't know, like reverse engineering software like IDA or Binary Ninja. You'll like look through the code and you'll basically what you want is you want to extract specific parts of the file, right? Like parts that are specific to the malware. So mm, I don't know, maybe it's specific strings which are like compiled into, or specific functions, or like multiple functions. And you'll basically copy the bytecode and you'll put that in your Yara file so that it like matches on these chains of bytecode, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty fun. And yeah, then you also have Sigma. Sigma is more it's for like basically the same, but instead of matching on binaries, it will match on system events. Um, so basically, if I take an example on Linux, you could check, okay, for example, well, you have this specific type of syscall, and then like you have a chain of syscalls or something, and you basically write like behavioral detection logic. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Gold, silver, copper. Do you have any malware stories?
I've never really written malware or anything like that. Like my interest kind of only extends to like watching like cybersecurity conferences. When I was really young, I tried to download like Halo 2, and it was actually like the Halo 1 demo with a virus, and then like my whole computer my whole computer got pwned. I was like 13. You know, very sad moment in my life.
RIP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to download a bunch of cracked games too, and it was always like playing with fire, right? Because even if you like your antivirus doesn't detect it, it doesn't mean like that it isn't malicious, right? Because it's kind of easy to bypass antivirus.
Yeah,
So
or when you're a kid and you're so desperate for the game to work, you're like, bro, I'm gonna turn off my antivirus. Like, just run. Come on.
yeah, I think yeah, this definitely also happened to me. I remember it was like with a crack of Photoshop back in the days. So like I was searching for cracked versions because I don't remember why, but yeah, I also got infected like that.
Yeah, we laugh, but it can lead to really serious
Oh yeah,
consequences.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean I know some people that like got extorted because of that, and yeah, or like got all their accounts like password changed and stuff, and then I had like someone in my family, all of her accounts got like stolen, and so like some guy started like buying stuff from Amazon and yeah, for like a couple of $1,000. So yeah, it was crazy. She got a refund, but like in some cases you can't even like get a refund. So yeah.
Yeah, when it starts monetarily impacting like just normal people, it really sucks. Like, you know, when it's a
Yeah.
company, you don't really feel so bad, but
I agree,
like,
and like most definitely, and even like I think what's the most disturbing is like these people target people that have no idea about computers, like they barely know how to use them, right? So, one of the strategies is like some guy will get access to like a mail or something, and then he'll basically send a ransom, and he'd say like, yeah, I've got access to all of your computer. Now you'll have like to send to 200 USD in Bitcoin to a specific address. Otherwise, I will like leak all your pictures, all your stuff. Um, so yeah, that actually like that's something I've seen a couple of times now, and I think it's really like one of the worst things, to be honest. Like, not that it's a good thing, but I prefer if people like like target companies and stuff instead of like grandmas and shit that have no idea about computers.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. I actually remembered I do have a malware story. When I like worked in IT for a while, and my first day on the job, so like I just get hired, I'm super hyped. You know, oh man, like I'm gonna be working in IT with real big computers and stuff. So I walk in, first day on the job, I run some basic scripts on the network, and I'm like, oh shit, man, bro, like we're like super we're super vulnerable. Like, you know, we got like a bunch of like outdated packages with like, you know, root access, you know, like CVE 10s on this network. I'm like, yo, boss, what's going on? He's like, hey, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's internal, bro. It's internal. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. I mean, you're the boss. Like, I'm sure you know better than me. Like, I just started first IT job. I found all this, but like, okay. So yeah, basically we got like hella pwned like a year
That's crazy.
later.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all like follow a bit like of database leaks and stuff, but it's crazy like how many companies get leaked every day. Um, I know like not so long ago in French there's like official sports federations, and like all of these federations got their databases leaked, everything published, and there was like, and even like hospitals and stuff, and then you have basically like in there you have like all the personal data of all those people, and there was even like political like influenced people and all kinds of stuff, so can get really bad.
Yeah, there's like relating to that, it's like all those new legislations about like the ID verification stuff. Like I feel like that's going to be such a security nightmare. Like
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
people all the people uploading their IDs to verify their age and identity to like Discord or any social media. That's all going to get hacked so hard.
Yeah, but maybe I don't know if y'all agree with me, and maybe that might like sound a bit strange, but in my opinion that's just like the first step to mass surveillance, because you know once they can like start and get like identities from everyone like through social platforms, what will they do afterwards? Where does this data get stored? And like there's been some proof that, for example, the the same like company that does this for OpenAI, I don't remember the name of the company, but it's basically like, for example, linked to Palantir, and they will basically like feed the data to Palantir, and Palantir will basically collect all the data. So kind of leads to mass surveillance, and yeah, I don't think that's something that's a great thing.
I agree 100%. I think that's where it's leading to, and I think it's pretty grim.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Orhun, what do you think about mass surveillance?
We're cooked.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done the Discord age verification thing. Super careful about data stuff, but I mean, we're kind of cooked, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I think if this comes out, I'll try like with a fake picture, and if it doesn't work, I'll just leave Discord because I don't want to put my face on like my ID on here. Because like that means like because first of all they already like log all the messages like they already store them, so yeah.
I mean,
I think yeah, it leads like to more and more control.
my digital fingerprint is already cooked because I have my face all over the YouTube channel and everywhere. You could just like train an AI with my face and voice, and I'm cooked. But like, you know, I don't want to get more cooked. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's like I agree, but I think you're not like as cooked as like if the like Palantir would ingest all your data and your ID and stuff, and then they can just like track you. Send a
Yeah.
little prompt in their console, and yeah, they have your address and shit.
Yeah. Damn.
And it's crazy, like in the UK, that already happened. Like I think like this actually made a lot of noise, like from someone like shit posting and trashing the government on social media, and that guy got actually arrested because of that.
Yeah, in the UK they have like no freedom of speech, and I mean,
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think in Europe like that's just a increasing trend where it's like
Yeah,
if you criticize people, like you just
yeah.
get arrested or go to jail or whatever.
I mean, they also tried to pass some European law, which basically said supposedly it's to fight against pedophiles, but basically what they wanted is they wanted to backdoor any kind of encryption-based software. So basically, Signal, Telegram, everything. Basically, they said like we want backdoors and we will log all messages. So yeah. I mean, it's crazy, and I think, like you said, like it gets pushed more and more, and like, yeah, it's scary. I think at some point, like it will get through.
Yeah, I heard about the encryption stuff. Like the EU has been trying to push that.
Yeah,
One of the conferences I was watching was saying that like the United States or something was trying to do that like 20 years ago, and they passed, or like, and you know, some like open source advocacy groups were able to push back enough. But it's definitely crazy because like, you know, one like a couple advocacy groups versus like 10 different countries' governments, it's like a uphill battle. It's like super difficult, and
yeah.
we're seeing it get worse and worse. So
And
yeah.
and also, have you all seen like the thing that happened in California? Basically, they basically like request you to identify with ID through the OS. Like this law actually passed, so now like a lot of Linux distros are actually like trying to solve this. But yeah, basically, like you need to basically prove your identity and age, and it's OS based. So yeah, it's
What
crazy.
what do you mean? Like there's like a
Like
what?
yeah, basically it needs to be like you need to have like a age check integrated into the operating system. That's like what the Californian government requires.
And is this like collecting data as well?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can send you the specific thing, but I've seen it
Damn,
because like there has been a lot of discussions around this, and even like for example on the Fedora forum, I think some of the people from the Ubuntu team also addressed this. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, people are gonna bypass this, but still.
Yeah, obviously, but it's still, you know, because as a company, for example, your Red Hat, if you don't do it, then they will just like your OS basically becomes illegal. It's crazy.
What?
So you basically like can't operate in California anymore.
Yeah, I live in California.
Did you do
What do you
your
want to say?
age verification check today?
Yeah, today I gotta do it every single day, bro.
I send a link about this thing.
I think what I saw was that like at the moment they're not requiring ID verification, like it's just like a very simple check.
Okay, it's just age based. Okay.
Yeah, but you know, obviously it opens up like, you know, 1 year they're passing this law, and then the next year they're gonna be like, well, you gotta use your ID, duh. Like,
Yeah, right. That's the thing, right? And they kind of already did that with, for example, Discord. You need to pass your age, and then at some point they're like, well, gotta prove that it's you, you know. Internet safety.
yeah, California's crazy. You know, we just abolished using ID to vote, and then now we're like, you gotta use your ID to use the computer.
What?
Also, you don't need an ID to vote.
Yeah. So in California, they passed a law like a while ago where you don't. It's
That's
illegal
crazy.
it's illegal to show your ID if you're trying to vote. Like if you go to the voting booth and you're like, "Here's my ID," they're like, "No, put that away. We don't want to see it."
So you can like come as a visitor from anywhere and just vote.
100%,
That's
100%.
crazy.
What?
That's crazy. That's
So wait,
mad.
I can vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you show up in California during voting season, like just
Hey
vote.
guys,
bro.
let's just all go to California and vote.
But yeah, I think it only goes into effect, like the operating system law, it only goes into effect next year, I think. But yeah.
You know, they should
Yeah.
have this thing built into the BIOS, so you get like a check before even the OS boots.
I think it should be built into the motherboard.
Hell yeah.
Hardware locked by ID.
Yeah,
We
I
should-
live. I'm from Switzerland, and it used to be like a very privacy respecting countries, but even lately, like they've started to try pushing some kind of like crazy laws, especially about VPNs. They wanted that basically. They wanted also like to backdoor VPNs. Luckily, that didn't pass, but it still says a lot about what's happening.
So the other day I had this like daydream. I was thinking, how can I be like completely anonymous on the internet? And I couldn't find a way. And this is related to what we're talking now. So I'm curious about what you think. So first of all, you need to like let's say physically you cannot be anonymous. You cannot like you're not gonna go to a library and use the internet, right? You're gonna use your own internet. Let's just accept that. And from there, let's say you wanna hide your location or whatever. So you can use a VPN, which is they will just share your data if something goes wrong. You can set up your own VPN, but then you gotta rent a server and you're gonna rent it from some provider that's probably gonna share your data again. So I found out there are some special like server companies that there's like privacy focused, but you probably cannot trust them as well. So I don't know. It feels like it's really just impossible to become anonymous and just
Yeah, and even like with things like Tor, for example, well, like Tor, we already know that like 40% of the exit nodes are like controlled by the states and like government entities, and also I think Tor was originally like designed to have like billions of people using it, and it's clearly not the case. So it's not anonymous at all.
Also
It
built
kind
by
of
the
helps,
US
but
Navy.
yeah, yeah. And then there's also I think there's I2P, which is supposed to be a bit better, but I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, I've heard I2P is better than Tor in terms of
Yeah.
like, from some people on the I2P project, they're saying that like Tor has a ton of like known vulnerabilities, and that every
Oh
single
yeah,
time
yeah.
they
And
try
they
to
don't get
like,
fixed.
yeah, they don't get fixed, and like if you try and tell the Tor team to fix them, they'll get really mad at you.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of fishy. In terms of like the online anonymity thing, uh, from my conference watching, what like really big bad guys do is usually they set up like Wi-Fi relays. So like you're not gonna go to the library and use their Wi-Fi because like you're just gonna get videotaped, duh. But what you might do is you go to the you go to the library and then you set up a small Wi-Fi relay on their roof, kind of sneakily, and then you might have like Wi-Fi relays all over your city connected to a bunch of different Wi-Fis, like cafes, libraries, and any public Wi-Fi that you can get. And then like you'll set up enough relays that you can use those from your house. So it'll look like you're using the internet from the library, but you might be like, 10 miles away.
Yeah.
And
But I mean,
on top of a bunch of other stuff.
yeah, I mean, still, you could probably get like videotapes doing that, or like they will, if they figure out where they actually using the internet, they will just find the relay device or whatever. So I don't know. Like more that I think about this, more that it seems really impossible to do. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's much like I mean, most of the time this is like a criminal context, right? So it's like uh, usually also like in these situations, it's like by the time they're actually like searching the physical location, you're kind of cooked because it's like you want to be using those Wi-Fi relays, but then you also want to be going through, I'm behind 7 VPNs or like I'm behind 7 proxies meme, right? So it's like you want like so many things built on top of each other that like they're not ever gonna figure out your location. Like another thing people do is like they set up a botnet, right? So you infect a bunch of computers. You have 1,000 computers on your botnet all over the world, and so you're going to be using the internet through them, right? So you're not going to be using your own computer at all. Basically, you're using the botnet through your 7 proxies, through your Wi-Fi relay. So it's just like you keep doing these jumps from source to target as many as you can.
Yeah.
Talking about botnets, I think that botnets are like one of the easiest things to create. It's so easy. Like it's not hard to like spawn machines. Especially like if you want to hit the masses. I mean there's a lot if I don't know if y'all know about Shodan, for example. It's basically like it scans the entire web, right? If you go on there, you just need like you buy the $5 subscription, and you can basically like get access to the entire internet, and you can just like create some scripts, use the Shodan API, and then like test out for like easy vulnerabilities, and you'll find them because there's a lot.
We are so cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might need to like start farming or something.
I got a few trees planted in my backyard. Hopefully I get some avocados growing soon.
Oh, that's nice.
You gotta send pictures now.
So you can hack me, bro? You want my EXIF data? You want to geolocate my house?
Yeah, please JPEG.
I'm in my room right now. I can't send pics. I'm sorry.
No worries. So there's this guy that I watched on YouTube back in the day, I think more than 5-6 years ago, maybe older than that. And he is like super talented, like in terms of doing malware analysis, and kind of presents that in a really fun way. I don't know if you know him, Shard, but I'll send a link to the chat. His YouTube channel is just taken down right now.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Yeah, this guy is like so fun to watch.
Oh, he's
like,
French.
Yeah. You can check this one out, for example. So he's like on Odyssey now because YouTube is banned him. At some point, I think I talked to him on Twitter or Telegram. He showed me like his setup. He was like kind of like Windows oriented person. Like he has its own modded Windows distribution for some reason. Like his own like OS based on Windows. Like I don't know how he did that, but it's
Yeah,
kind of
there's
like
there's a known one for that one. I don't remember the name. I think it's from MainGens. It's from Google.
yeah.
But I used to use that too, and it's actually it's practical because you have like a bunch of tools like built in and included. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he was doing that, and I don't know, the videos I watched them, and he's like doing some stuff like most of the things I don't understand because like assembly and like stuff like that, but it's just fun to watch overall.
Yeah, it's fun actually. Like, yeah, it's a fun thing to do, especially if you have like the freedom to like choose what kind of malware you will analyze. It's not always the case, especially like in companies, right? Like for example, me, I had to like just go through a bunch of malware, and you have like 80% of the malware is the same, and so it's kind of repetitive. But when you like you can really like pick what you want to reverse and analyze, then it's really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, even like reverse engineering, AI is really good at it actually. I don't want like to be that guy that's like promotes AI, but it's just true, and I've seen it, and I've also like people like that work in reverse engineering also told me like AI is just getting too good at it because it understands assembly language very well for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's you know, obviously there's a lot of the whole hype and the anti-hype around AI, but I think it's like it's really good to be like, you know, smart about it and realistic, and it's definitely getting really good. And like like if it works for the task, like you should definitely use it, and especially for things that are like, you know, really difficult for humans, like reading a ton of assembly code. It's like, what the hell's going on? AI is just super good at it. It's like,
Exactly, and you know, like to get that level in reverse engineering, you need to focus only on reverse engineering because it's hard, and I know some people that are very good at it, but they also just do that, right? And they did just that for a very long time, and yeah,
it's a skill set that takes years to build up.
yeah, definitely, and you know, I have a good friend. He actually like he made it to like he was like part of the official French CTF team, and he was basically also like just focusing on reverse engineering, and he's really good at it. But he's the guy that told me, well, AI is kind of taking my job over, or like most of the things, because it's just really good at it, and it makes the process a way more faster.
Yeah, I think like as software people, like we're gonna have to really like adapt to AI and like face the realities. Like
Yeah, true.
yeah, I think like 2 years ago when I was like messing around with coding and LLMs, I was kind of like, this stuff. It's like it's good for maybe writing like some boilerplate or like some basic stuff, but. I started getting like subs recently and like just seeing like what it can do and like throwing like pretty complicated projects at it and it's just like it's doing really really well and it's really making me like rethink just kind of everything around software like uh
Yeah, I think we want like write and again I don't want like to be that guy, but I don't think we'll write code like we do today in a few years.
I mean
I think
definitely
like
like
we'll mostly like interact with the AI actually.
Yeah. I feel like we're not gonna read code as well. It's kind of depressing.
Yeah,
I mean
that's
I think
true.
like what I'm kind of seeing like in my own project is it really depends on the project itself like I was working on a game jam recently with Ratatouille, by the way. I'll make like a post about that later, but I didn't read or write any of the code because I was just like, vibe code a game for me, right? And then I just kind of like prompted along the way, telling it like what I want in it. And it's like, yeah, it's whatever. Like I can just do that because it's like a game that I don't really care about that much. It's for a game jam. But then I'm also like working on a programming language at the same time. And like so for that, it's like every single change that the AI does, I like triple check. I review all the code because I want it to be like actually really good. And like the AI is good at it like 95% of the time, 90% of the time, whatever. But so I think it just really depends. Like, so for example, for the mouse food PR, it's like, yeah, obviously I use AI for that partially, but I triple check all the code. I write some of it myself. So
Yeah, and I
I
think
think,
that's
yeah,
actually like it's actually a good use of the tool, right? I think like compared to like people, I think vibe coding like people think it won't really exist because I think you always need someone to double check, right? Um, but I think in that case, like in the example you said, like I think it's actually like a great addition, right? And you can like spend way less time like implementing specific features and can just be faster.
yeah, exactly. It's like over this last week, I was working on just like 4 projects at the same time. And I was only really able to do that because of AI. Like I built a game, a website, you know, fairly big PR, and like worked on my programming language, all at the same time, basically. And I don't think that would have really been possible without AI.
Yeah, I think sometimes like code quality is still trash, but it's functional. Like if I compare it to like 2 years ago, it's way better already. And like usually like sometimes I just like I also use AI, right? So and I let it do some things, and like 2 years ago it wouldn't have like some things wouldn't have compiled at all. And like nowadays, I feel like most of the things that the AI produces actually compile, and they can also like reflect, and like now you have like all the loops where you can like call the tools and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, the sort of like agent loop where it actually like tries to
yeah,
compile and like if it can't, it fixes its mistakes or attempts to. Especially with like the better models. Like yeah, it's
yeah.
getting really good. And yeah, it's like, for a lot of projects, like you don't actually need the code to be that good. Like for a website, for like any like toy project, it's like I just want it to work and look how I want it to look. Like I don't really care if it's not using like best practices.
Yeah, I agree. From for some things, I agree. Well, just want something working. You don't really care about code quality.
Orhun, what do you think? And doesn't OpenAI provide you with some credits because of like the whole codec thing?
Yeah, they give us some credits. We haven't used them. Like, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do with them, but yeah, I'm using Codex. I'm a frequent user of it. Recently, yesterday, I did this thing on the Ratatouille website. I'll send a link. It's a huge PR. It's all like mostly done by Codex, but yeah, I mean, I think I will. There's a problem with that, which is why do we have like code duplication between the main repo and the website? But for now, I think I will just go ahead and accept it because it was just like a really boring task if I were to do this manually. But with Codex, it just like copy pasted all the examples from the main repo to the website. For now, I think it's all good. So, I mean, I use it for stuff like this, and it's pretty good. I think problem solving. I try to be really careful with that because the code quality or like some decisions that AI makes, I don't like them. But
Agree.
for stuff like this, I think it's pretty good, and yeah, it gives me some, I don't know, it gives me confidence for making more things in open source, but at the same time, the things that I'm doing are less enjoyable because the fun parts are usually like I would say 60% of the time, or maybe 50% of the time, done by AI. So you don't really solve that many problems anymore, but you can solve more problems, I guess, which is
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's less satisfying.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, it's less like before. I really had the feeling I would implement a solution, and I was like, "Damn, that's nice." I'm proud of my work. But now, like, if I use the AI, I'm like, "Well, I've just reviewed the code, right? It's less satisfying."
You know what's really satisfying is you try to do something with AI and it fails, and then you go ahead and do the same thing with just one line change, and you're like, damn,
Yeah.
I mean, I could actually do this thing. I'm smart. You know? So
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
But
real
yeah.
satisfaction is being smarter than the AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying out Cloud lately. I think it's pretty strong, especially like their Opus model. But yeah,
Yeah, it is really good. Opus is really good. The new Codex models are also really good. I haven't really used like Gemini or anything for coding. I hear some people say it's pretty good, but I don't know.
I've tried it out, but well, it's my opinion again. But what I didn't really like is that, for example, when I use some Cloud model, it will kind of be like self-explanatory, and it will like ask me, and it will like present what it wants to do, right? But with Gemini, what I figured out, if you don't like specify it, it will just go ahead and like start implementing stuff, and give like little details about what it will do and stuff, and I didn't really like that part.
What do you use AI through? Like, do you use Copilot or do you use like Open Code or what else? Something else?
I use Cloud Code, just the Cloud Code GUI kind of thing, which actually like it's not that great, but yeah, I didn't really explore other options, to be honest.
I use Copilot and Codex in Nevim.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah,
go
no, go
ahead,
ahead.
Shard. No, you go ahead.
Okay. If you want to. I was about to say, yeah, I tried out to like use Cloud Code inside Emacs, but it's just too slow. like rendering of the stuff. It's just too slow in Emacs. So yeah.
It's not Ratatouille, man. That's why.
They're using freaking React in the terminal. Like, what the hell is going on, bro?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Have you seen that? I was about to say like that thing with Cloud Code is crazy. Like how they do it is they basically like do React to some kind of terminal thing. It's yeah.
It straight up feels like they're trolling. Like you
Yeah, I
can't
mean
make a worse design
they
decision.
they said it themselves. Like all the thing, the project is entirely vibe coded.
That's crazy. Like,
So yeah, I didn't expect much to be honest, but it's really slow. Like
I mean, if you ask me to vibe code like an AI coding tool, like I think I would do like a way better job.
oh yeah, obviously, yeah, I agree. I don't understand why they did that. To be honest, it's not even like it's not any kind of technical prowess. It's just bad. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
They gotta be trolling. They gotta be trolling. I used to use Copilot through like the GitHub like web UI, just because it was like per prompt rather than like per token, so I was able to actually like get a good amount of usage from it. And then I got pretty frustrated with the workflow, so I moved to the Codex GUI app right now. Yeah, I know GUI, right? Not TUI. I'm a noob, but that's kind of what I'm on right now.
Nice. I didn't even know they had like a GUI.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice because right now they're having like a promotion where it's like if you use the Codex GUI, then you get like 2x the tokens. So
Mhm.
kind of nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, usually I just have like some terminal window and I'll like open up multiple cloud instances depending, and I'll basically like ask it to work on like specific focus tasks, and yeah. But I've also kind of tried. I try like recently I built some kind of Ratatouille based UI, right? And I've asked it for like to create like just as a demo because I wanted to like see how it would look, like some kind of chart element, right? And it was trash, man. Yeah, like it couldn't do it for some reason. So yeah.
Yeah, I find that AI is not very good at like visual stuff. Like it's just yeah, I think that just kind of comes down to the fact that like LLMs are a text thing, so it's like they just don't have any good understanding of graphics unless you like hook up like a image to text model into your pipeline somehow.
Yeah.
Like, but even then, like they're not good at like judging like aesthetics quality. Like I had it working on my website, and it would like it was set up with like a image to text model. Like it would render the website like using like Playwright or something. Like I don't know. It was using some tool to render the website, and then like it was like analyzing the image and like outputting like does this look correct or not. And then it would be rendering like a totally broken website, right? And be like, yeah, this looks great, like let's go. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, no, like like no, that does not look good.
Yeah, that also happened with my chart slash graph thing in Ratatouille. So yeah, I've seen that and I was like, okay, I won't use AI for this.
It works if like I don't know, when I was using Ratatouille with it, like it works if you push it enough and you're like a really specific. Like I find like if I wanted to use a specific widget, like I go to the docs page, I like copy paste like all the widget API, and I'm like like do you like, use this, make no mistakes, and then it like kind of works. But if you're just like from scratch trying to get it to implement something, it doesn't really work. Another pro tip I kind of saw is that like if you put examples into the repo, like so Ratatouille has a bunch of example code, right? If you just take that code and put it into repo, then the AI is better at using it if it like scans it and stuff.
I think yeah, the code will probably also be a bit cleaner.
Yeah.
One thing that I realized using Codex is whenever I try to wipe code a Ratatouille app, it always uses frame size, so this thing, instead of frame area. And size is deprecated now. And I don't know why this happens. Like every time, like I don't know, maybe it's the Copilot thing, or maybe it's the Codex thing, but like every time it's so annoying. I think we should just remove the size function at some point, because yeah, I think some other wipe coded apps are also using this, and I could tell if a Ratatouille app is wipe coded. They are usually on an older version of Ratatouille, or like doing some weird
Yeah.
stuff with the layouts and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's probably due to the training data. Like, it's probably just trained on old Ratatouille stuff. Like, that's another thing you see is like, you're like, okay, make me a Ratatouille project, and it's like using version like 22. It's like, no.
Yeah, and also like I don't know what you'll think about this, but I think at some point you will have some kind of issues with training, because at some point it will like start training on vibe coded stuff,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine the code quality. Like it will like start training on like bullshit, and then it will basically the AI will train on like their own data. So yeah, I don't know how that will go.
Yeah.
And that's already an issue.
Yeah,
That's
well,
called like AI model collapse or something like that, and it's already happening. Like a few of the AI labs like put out papers about that. Like at first it was supposed to be like a really hype thing for AI training. They're like, oh man, we're gonna use AIs to make a bunch of training data, and it's gonna make them really, really good, right? And like they tried it out, and they're like, bro, this is so
it's
bad.
trash, obviously, because the quality of the data set isn't great at all.
Yeah. And it's actually really funny, like if you like look into like AI labs sourcing data and stuff like that, like they pay like a very high premium for data that is not AI generated. Like they're very specifically looking for data to train on that is not AI generated, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how it will be in a few years, but we'll see, I guess.
Rat AI Dewey.
Exactly. I just hope that like the useless hype will go away at some point, because it's annoying.
The AI
Like
hype?
yeah, like there's a lot of useless hype around it, and like people like promoting things which aren't even true. Like for example, all people saying that like AI, like you don't need software engineers anymore and stuff like that. It's just not true. Like, and people keep pushing it, but it's not true. I don't know in like 10 years, but for now it's not true. So yeah, and people just like keep pushing with like useless marketing AI stuff.
Yeah, there is like way too much hype around it. It does get pretty annoying at a point, but at the same time, I feel like it's extremely powerful, and it's like we're just scratching the surface. Like, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. I think everything that's going around it. So, I mean, I agree the AI hype is a bit annoying at some points, but it's also just going to absolutely change stuff. It's going to be crazy in a few years.
Yeah.
Have any of you tried like any of the like weird AI agent stuff, like the OpenClaw or anything like that?
No, but I've seen a bunch of security related issues with OpenClaw. Like people, yeah, I think it's kind of obviously like you want OpenClaw to like get access to all of your system commands and stuff, but that also like opens up to a whole bunch of issues.
Yeah, 100%.
What's up, Rikona?
Yo,
One. Funnily enough, I've been implementing something similar right now,
What you working
and
on?
uh, it's a memory-based agent, like giving a specific AI agent memory and like stuff like that. Um, and it's a response to like Can't Over Streets like proof of concept. I just kind of wanted to reply with it with a paper. Um. To his implementation, I think it was a little bit subpar, but um, and that's what I'm implementing, and it's kind of I've been experimenting with it, and it's so mediocre, but but I'm just hoping that maybe it's because I'm using a mid-tier PC to actually host everything because I'm way too paranoid about security and stuff like that.
Are you hosting the model locally?
Yeah, yeah, I fine-tuned the model and I'm hosting it locally. Yeah.
Did you have any like specific goal in mind when you were fine tuning it? Like, did you like what did you fine tune it for?
I was fine tuning against the what was the data set? There was a data set published by Anthropic when they did a user review. I also trained it against a another data set from I think it was scraping GitHub. Um, but I was fine tuning it specifically for better reasoning. I was hoping that it could reason better. But it's barely better than like the base model right now. I kind of didn't train it correctly. I'm just hoping that it's like maybe the steps that I went through and like the synthetic data that I got that I collected. But um, overall, I think it's a corporatized field. You're not going to get much out of local AI models, even corporate models. I think they're still kind of mediocre in this case. It's all hype train because it lowers the barrier to entry so much that pretty much everybody can have an opinion on it, despite not being any sort of developer. So like the barrier to entry is that low, so everybody's gotta want a piece of that pie, and it enables a lot of people to do what they couldn't before pretty shittily, and but they don't
I've
see
seen
that. So
actually I've seen some guy on YouTube. Actually, at the same time, I'm like props to him. He's motivated, but basically he just does vibe coding, and like he does that every year and tries to like create a vibe coding app.
that's interesting.
I think it's like he has like yeah, I think I found him, and it's crazy because like he does streams and it's basically vibe coding my app until I make 1 million. But he
Oh
does that
yeah,
every day. He does that every day, so props to him. But I kind of find it funny.
yeah,
I'm going to send the channel here,
yeah, 100% Sunday.
and
The
you
one
know,
thing I do,
yeah.
you can go ahead because my point is gonna be a little bit longer.
Okay, I was just about to say like, I think once I've like watched like for 15 minutes, and he was like on a really dumb bug, and I couldn't fix it, and then he was just stuck. So basically, he was just like reprompting the AI over and over, try and get it fixed. And he was like, "Yeah, please fix, please try another way, please fix."
Oh
So
God,
yeah, and then he like
that's
tried different models, and it still didn't work out. So yeah, it was funny.
yeah, that's the main issue. The main issue that I'm personally seeing with the whole marketplace of AI models and everything else is the entirety of corporatized software. I find it to be heavily the main reason most things get like easier is mostly for corporatization. I mean, greed breeds like enterprise. They want enterprise, and to lowering the barrier to entry is always going to be something
Yeah.
that people do. And the main thing I really hate about it is everybody's just trying to hawk at it to just squeeze the most money they can from an industry that is just bleeding money constantly. And it's the same $4 trillion getting circled around. And that's really annoying to actually witness. And I find it to be it reminds me of like my old workspaces when I used to do GDK development, where everybody would just be hawking at the new thing to try and get money at the new easiest tool to use, which I found really, really annoying. So you see it a lot on AI Twitter. It's a cesspit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. And just look at, I'm going to send a screenshot of his live, like, yes, I don't know how much stuff opened. It's crazy.
Holy!
Bro is just crazy with it.
Oh my god, bro.
Like we laugh, but at the same time, like
Yeah.
this is the future.
Unfortunately so.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure to what extent the AI will enhance. Like, will it really like get really good? We don't really know.
I think it will forever be at the place where it's at, like right
I think it
now,
will stay
where
like a
it's
tool. Yeah, I kind of
yeah,
agree with that.
because like the architecture is pretty. They're literally building on a kind of shit shaky architecture. I mean, if you look at like the transformer, like the way they work and produce code, it's kind of like they're guessing a lot of the time. I mean, code 100% is like a very deterministic way to produce, which is really nice for these LLMs. They understand code very, very well. Like it's probably the most easiest thing for them to understand. But what they're trying to translate, which is user input and text, into the actual code, which is kind of shit. Um, and that's why you see like planning style workflows get really popular, so you can really grind out the gears of what you're trying to get out of the LLM. I think the maximum we're gonna get with it is try to like write a way to interface with the models in a very deterministic way, like say a Lua or some type of script to very much tell it and usher it into where it needs to be. But it's oh, I literally forgot what point I was trying to make. But
No,
the
but yeah,
transformers are not really a great way to generate code, especially interpret what a person is saying. Like I think like a byte. What was they called? Bytemate, or somebody else made like a LLM that's like that has no tokenization entirely, which is kind of cool. Like same with SSM type models,
I
which
think
have
Gemini are trying to
different
do that
temporal
actually.
understanding.
I think
Yeah.
Gemini is trying to like they're trying to do a model which doesn't have like any max token limit.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. I think eventually tokenization is gonna be the barrier to cross, and I just AI is gonna be a forever type thing. I mean, especially now, but I don't think it's gonna get to the point where everything we write is gonna be AI. Like, I think the best way to use it, like the way I've been kind of using it, is spec driven development, where I just say if I'm gonna add a feature to an application, I write a spec, and then it understands the code base, so it not understands the files. It's gonna tell me everything I'm gonna be doing. I'll do like more research on top of that. But overall, it can give me a good spec, and I can be like, okay, let me go implement this feature, and I don't have to think very much about the code personally. But I'm gonna be the one implementing and writing the actual code, and the AI just generates the spec, so I understand it better myself, and so it can speed me up in that type of cognitive manner, but not like the actual code base where I can actually dial in my actual intellect, which I think is gonna be able to like speed up pretty quickly. But in the other facets, I don't think you're gonna be able to write a full application with just AI yet.
I mean, I've already written multiple full
Oh, okay.
applications using completely AI. I don't know. Like I guess if I may speak, it's I've been like part of like I don't know what to call it, but like kind of like the AI community for like a very long
Hmm.
time. Like I had a really big interest in AI like way before machine learning, like just like old Lisp and like like really like decision graph type AI. And then because of my background in linguistics, I was using like machine learning tools for various like NLP research. And then I was using LLMs like long before ChatGPT came out, just because I was like
Hmm.
around those groups that were like, interested in playing around with LLMs for a very long time. And so I've just kind of been seeing AI evolve for a very long time. And it's kind of like 10 years ago, we didn't think that LLMs would be able to produce like human coherent like text at all. Like we just didn't really think that was possible. Like it wouldn't be able to pass the Turing test. And then, like 4 or 5 years ago, we see it like actually no, like okay, this stuff is
Right.
passing the Turing test, like we gotta like up the bar. And then, 2 to 3 years ago we were like, okay, it can pass the Turing test, but it kinda sucks at like code and like it's probably never gonna be able to write good code. And now we're seeing it actually be able to write really good code. Like
Right.
I think it's better than like most junior developers. Um, and we're seeing tons of innovation right now with like the way people are building agents and harnesses for AI. And
Yeah.
just like I know like a good amount of software engineers like working in the big world, and a lot of them are like saying like yeah, AI is like helping me out a ton. It's able to like replace some of the juniors or contractors we have. And I think like just like from my perspective, like we did not think it would be able to pass the Turing test. We did not think it would be able to like code at all. And now it's like doing both really good. So I think with the pace of innovation that's going around AI right now, like I think we're gonna be seeing some really, really crazy stuff coming out in the next few years. Of course, it's impossible to predict the future. Maybe AI will hit a hard cap, but like it's moving really fast. So I don't
Yeah.
think that's gonna happen at the moment.
I do understand what you're saying. Definitely, like, I think what will continue to happen is like what's happening with Gemini and Gemini 3.0 and 3.1 with better contextual understanding and the ability to have a better understanding of the output that it's writing. So yeah, I will say it will get better at coding 100%, but I think uh yeah, the maybe I just don't want to admit it, but the end game, I think, um, yeah, the end game is pretty much like, oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, in terms of like what's actually gonna happen, like what's gonna be the fallout from this,
Hmm.
like yeah, it could be pretty bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
guess we'll
smaller
figure out.
models is the better. Smaller models. I don't know if like the larger corps want to do smaller models so you can host it. I mean, smaller models will get better because there's a community around them and such. But I wonder how long it's gonna take for those to attain the same level of experience, I guess, as the larger like 500B or 1,000
Yeah,
billion token
maybe
models
at
and
some point
such.
we'll have like language specific models.
Oh, I
Like,
could see that being a thing,
yeah,
but that's like I'd see like those being like fine tunes more of than like dedicated like
yeah, that would make sense.
yeah. And I think some of that is already true. I've seen some fine tunes for like Bash or like C. I've seen fine tunes for those, but like that's with like older stuff like Gemma back when it was like really shit at coding, like genuinely ass. So like it's the end game is always going to be corporatization. So like what's going to happen in the open source sphere, I think to be honest, I don't know. I'm hoping like situations like curl don't happen as frequently as they do. I mean, uh like I can only think of one of us that hosts like a large repository. Orhun, are you there?
Yeah, I was just replying to some question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you experience any type of do you know the situation with curl? Do you experience anything similar with bad like AI generated PRs or stuff like that?
Yeah, do you mean like is it overwhelming or more
Yeah, is it
frequent?
overwhelming or yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is. It's like I sometimes understand it. People want to contribute, they want to help out with the project and so on. But sometimes it's
Right.
just like things that you don't expect. They just dump you like 2,000 lines of code, and then you gotta. I mean, you don't have to review or do anything, but it's just like, it's something that you need to look into, and more like mental. I don't know how to call it, mental burden on you, because you are maintaining the project. You got to take care of it. But yeah, I try to just be transparent on what I see from those type of PRs. I usually say, hey, I appreciate your effort, but maybe take a step back. Maybe don't just send a PR, but like do something minimal for fixing this issue or whatever. So yeah. Hey Josh, by the way.
Yeah, this just popped up on my YouTube, and I saw you guys were chatting.
Yeah.
And figured I'd come in and chime in on that PR. There was one that happened in Ratatouille. It was PR 1984, which we kind of jokingly kind of thought was maybe a funny, appropriate number of the PR, where someone basically just threw us a bunch of slop, and then threw our kind of responses back into their LLM of choice, and threw us back some more slop. It's kind of funny.
That's interesting.
I'm wondering if that
So,
PR is still up. It's probably they
Yeah.
deleted their account or whatever, or it's still
I
there.
think they got banned.
No, it's actually
Is it
still there.
1982?
1984.
84.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
this one.
really funny.
I think there was actually another AI PR for Ratatouille at one point, and the account that posted it got banned actually,
Yeah.
and it disappeared.
Yeah. I mean, this one is kind of funny because you see Josh's effort to just, like try to review and so on, and they just kept going like with their AI attempts, and it's just so funny. But yeah, at the end we just closed it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all across open source, these kinds of PRs, like they happen more and more. I've seen a couple of them, and yeah, it's always kind of fun, but at the same time, like it's these people like they waste the time of people that like have other things to do, right? And like this, like it it's fun, but at the same time, like sometimes you don't really know if it's AI. And like you
that's the
first need
thing.
like you'll need to spend the time and like go through the PR, and then you understand that it's AI, but you'll still need to take the time. So yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I can't for the love of me like figure out why somebody would like genuinely open a PR. That's I guess not understanding the code, maybe like wanting to help out 100%. Like I just can't get the reason why people would open like PRs that aren't very
I think
even
one of the things that you can probably look at, sort of just generally the idea of like contributing to open source is it's the tech equivalent of like playing that MMORPG, that little side quest that is like that one thing that you kind of like go and gank 20 of those monsters and whatever. And so sometimes like people sort of like are just looking for that dopamine hit of I did some work and now it's part of that and I've contributed to this and I've pushed it sort of meaningfully forward. The problem then becomes that when they're like, I'm also experimenting with a tool to make that easier, and so I can get more of those things, kind of more of those sort of dopamine hits, sort of chained in sort of quick succession. And so I think one of the things here is like the realization that when you contribute to open source, you're responsible for what you deliver, and you're responsible for that code, and you're responsible for the communications to other people being in a way which is recognizing that their time is finite, that their amount of time that they can spend dealing with your stuff is a choice, whether they choose to deal with you or some other work that they've got going on. And so it's sort of difficult, like both in the open source world as well as in the real world, to kind of be at the end of receiving sort of PRs and that sort of thing. Like in my real world sort of job, we sort of come to the conclusion that code is cheap, like code is free, like that's not the constraining resource of the thinking to solve the problem in a way which is get the actual problem down into code that can kind of be contributed. The problem is really the time to review that, the time to choose the right approach, and the time to do all of the things that are surrounding that, are the expensive things. And so the trick here is optimize for those things. And I think if you have a mindset that you're optimizing for the things that are not I wrote code to fix this problem, then you get a better result. And I think a lot of those sort of responses of like projects going, hey, we are contributor only kind of PRs, or we're invite only. So like the ghosty approach, which says you can only submit a PR if you've been invited, and there's a discussion that kind of is aligned with that. Otherwise, they just close it. And yeah, sorry, I said a lot there.
No, yeah,
that makes sense. Makes sense, but yeah, I think I get that, but at the same time, I think people should still like even I understand that it's like you said, you have that dopamine and it's great, but at the same time, I think these people should still like have a little bit of knowledge to understand what they're putting out there. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like there's also people who use GitHub as a like kind of like a resume. So it's like, if you got a pull request accepted, it's kind of like you got a higher chance of being hired and stuff. And I feel like there's kind of just a lot of bad actors who are just like, they just want to make their account look legit. So they just make a billion AI requests and then a few of them get accepted and it makes their account look more legit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a couple of those accounts.
What's the best way to combat it? I feel like do you just have to tank it, I guess?
I think that idea of sort of taking that step back and looking at what your priorities are as a maintainer, and what your level of involvement and that sort of thing is going to be in a project is really core of that. Without that, you're just sort of setting yourself up for failure as people just go, here is a dump of all the things that I did, and you get into a situation where there's sort of a mismatch of expectations to reality. So I think the idea is, as maintainers in general, just being clear about that.
Yeah, as you said, like as code gets cheap, as more and more PRs start showing up, as more and more AI content shows up, getting your priorities straight is like super important.
So I missed most of the hangout. What did you guys discuss before I jumped in? What was has anyone got a TLDR?
We were discussing kind of like the direction that AI is going, how good it's gonna get, how useful it currently is, and just kind of, yeah, we're kind of just talking about AI, which I feel like you might have probably a lot to contribute.
Yeah. So I don't know, for the context of the others that don't know who I am. So I jumped on sort of doing stuff with Ratatouille for a while, and then got employed by OpenAI to work on Codex and work on the Ratatouille side of things there. Through my job, I kind of get to see all of the things that are like happening at the forefront of things, at least in the OpenAI world, and some of the things that are happening sort of in the future and that are not released, and it's an exciting field. I don't write code anymore. I know you've probably all seen like the Claude Code guy. What's his name? Boris Cheney. Anyway, but yeah, we don't write code. We let the model do that because the model's good enough to get things right 100% of the time. The biggest thing that like you want to put in place is just like, what are my standards? What are my validations? What are my general approaches to review? The things that sort of put guardrails in place to do the right thing. But even that, like a lot of the things you can do are just like, oh, I saw the code, I saw the model did this. Just add a thing to your model, your agents.md, and now the model doesn't do that anymore, and the model will basically follow that approach and do the right thing from then on. So like models are good enough to basically one shot pretty much anything that you want it to do these days, and they're only going to get better.
My main issue with that is like, I feel like it's like slowly like pushing like most people that want to learn to code do, but there's enough subset of people that would just like to get something done and they wouldn't learn on the actual side of programming. Then I feel like that pushes them to where's the easier option of just using the LLMs. I mean, that's kind of losing a skill set that the type of thinking that you go under like when you're learning like programming, the failure, the skills you gain. I think it's quite helpful whenever you're like reviewing code from LLMs and the like. So I feel like that's it kind of corporatizes it in a way, like corporate capture of the skill set. So a lot of people would be like dependent on these LLM providers for the actual the skill set of programming. And I don't know, it just kind of feels awkward.
I think yes and no. I think to some extent the response there is it reasonable to actually need to worry about the code that runs, assuming that it's good enough, it solves the problem, it doesn't have any bad bits. And I think it doesn't have any bad bits. And I say that sort of really super generically, like that might be performance problems, that might be security bugs, that might be things that aren't in your standard for the way that you write code, tabs versus spaces, etc. It doesn't have any bad bits. Is both your preferences plus the overall kind of zeitgeist of like what the world has sort of settled on. Like spaces are much better than tabs, just as an example there. And I say that without being able to kind of see the shocked results on people's faces. And I don't know if any of you are tab aficionados, but I say that with a big smile on my face. But that sort of thing is going to be baked into the model.
Yeah.
So, and I mean that's not something that we should be caring about in general. We should be saying, hey, you know what, the result is what matters, and it always should have been like that. The result is what matters on this stuff.
I will push back on that. I personally think like there is a sort of like I don't want to say like a art form or something to just to make this all personal and stuff, but I feel like there is some weight to actually like looking at what produces the result. I mean, I have a project that technically like works, but currently I'm bugged by like the dependencies. I know what's currently wrong in the code base. I want to refactor it because I mean it would make navigation easier, understanding of the actual code base easier, like understanding the dependencies and the intricacies in the code base, like the horrible macros that I used. And like I feel like I'm actually refactoring it as we speak, but it's quite important to like understand the intricacies of the software, especially whenever like you don't understand what's pushing out the results. It gets squeezy when you actually need to quickly change like a small thing. I found even using frontier models, I was just using ChatGPT 5.4 extra high recently to write a spec, and it does quite small mistakes that are quite like I would never see a human actually make those like negligible mistakes where like if you've been programming for a minute you'd clearly catch them. Like it's I feel like the intricacies in what produces the results is a very important step. Sorry, I'm so sick right now. I hate being sick.
Like there are definitely things that I pick up using the same models. Obviously, like my job sort of means that I use the OpenAI models 100% of my time. I don't tend to get a good view of like Claude and Gemini or that sort of thing. So I get to know the models in the OpenAI space pretty well, I guess. And we see it early, and we see sort of problems that are there early and things, and we see them sort of those problems get trained out over time, and adjustments on things like training and like agents of AMD and model prompts and or system prompts and that sort of thing, sort of training out certain behaviors that we see. I think that the trick is those things just they go away over time. As you pick them up and you see them as being systemic problems, you train them out, and it's the same way that you would train them out of like just a human software developer that runs into those problems. You identify that there's a problem there, you see it happen more than once, and you say, hey, this is a thing, please don't do this again, and you tell the model that, and then you train it back into the actual sort of like post-training stuff that means that that problem goes away for the entirety of humanity.
Right.
So I think that
What
sort of
about-
like go.
I can definitely understand that, like disefficiencies and like uses of code base stuff can be pretty quickly ironed out. I guess what I'm trying to express, I think you already understood pretty well. So there's just I don't know, maybe I'm just too attached too much to actual handwriting. I mean, it's what I learned for since I was 10 years old. I've been writing, so it's I don't know. I
May I
find
chime in? Oh,
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. So I agree with both of you. I think I've definitely seen some people who are, have never written any code in their life, all of a sudden writing a lot of code, and by writing a lot of code, I mean AI writing a lot of code for them. And I think there's both good and bad there, where a lot of people who, well-intentioned people who wanted to write code but maybe never had the time to learn the skill set, now they're able to. And I think that's, really wonderful. It allows people to do things they otherwise wouldn't. But there's definitely things to be said about, actually being a good software engineer yourself and understanding code. Because at the same time, I have seen people who, are vibe coding a lot. They have no background and they just don't really know what's going on. And I think it's just super useful to understand what you want, because like I find a lot at the time in software engineering, there's a lot of like background knowledge where it's like if you want to build an app, you like need to know the ecosystem before you even start writing, right? But if you just like don't know anything and you're like, oh, okay, build me like a website and an app to do this, like you don't even like know that you need a database or that you need to use like maybe a framework or something, and then the AI just kind of starts doing crazy stuff and you have no idea that it might be making like bad design choices. So I think there's a lot to be said about like it's very true that right now we're seeing a lot of people get into coding without really understanding what's going on, and that there is a lot of value to actually having that skill set. I think it's
you phrased it better than I did.
Yeah.
So I want to take a slight detour on what you sort of said there. So let's think about like something like 3D printing. I'm sure that we're probably, all the people on this conversation are more experienced in software than we are in 3D printing. Just a guess. I've never used 3D printing, but I've got friends that are into it. Like if I wanted to get into 3D printing, I'd buy a 3D printer and I'd start working on it, and I'd probably make a bunch of mistakes that someone that's more experienced in that area would know, hey, yeah, that's not what you do. But I'd learn that over time. And I might use AI to kind of help me kind of through that sort of stuff. And I might ask questions of AI tools to help understand, well, why am I getting like layer delamination, or like my models are not as good as what I see other people doing. Or I might be able to talk to the community and say, well, what's going on here? But I think that like the idea that I can just go and pay $200 and now I've got a 3D printer and I don't know, $20 for some filament and some power somewhere has really democratized the idea that building stuff, like real physical things, is a thing that I can just do, right? And I think the same thing sort of comes with like these AI models and tools like Claude Code, Codex, Antigrav, Cursor, etc. We're in the world now where we've super democratized the idea that anyone can kind of do these things. And I think we need to be careful of saying, of sort of doing that gatekeeping thing of saying, well, just because you can doesn't mean, like, means that you have to do it perfectly, right? What if I just want to make my like, I don't know, the small trinkets that I make with a 3D printer, or the equivalent with, I want to make that small app that's the game for a kid, or like whatever that happens to be, right? I think obviously the counterpoint of that is people are kind of going out there and going, I made a thing, when they've got really no idea how that thing works and no idea about like the realities of sort of maintaining software, and maybe that's something that we're pushing back here on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
I think that's a great way of phrasing it.
Yeah.
Like-
especially with like websites and that, like.
But like, is running a website that you created with AI really a problem? Like,
I mean, if you have a large user base, I mean, like there's a lot that is involved in security and like just maintainability, performance. There are certain things that you have to figure out over time. Definitely, even if you're still using AI, you'd eventually figure them out 100%. But I think the naivety and like just being able to spin it up really quickly. I mean, I'm not trying to gatekeep web development or anything. I'm not a web developer. I just think the skulls you stepped on whilst getting to that point is like quite hefty, especially if you're having a large user base. Like I point to certain situations like the Moat book situation that happened a while back when that was getting popular. I think it's quite important to actually verify your code bases, like not the worst thing on the planet. I mean, it's like you can do like a quick security check with AIs and certain such, but overall, I think understanding the ecosystems that comes with you can learn with it as you go. But I can find situations where somebody just launches like a large application with a large install base, and like they just ignore a lot of the maintainability and security side of the software. I mean, it's kind of an issue.
yeah, I mean, I've got a bit of a security background from my time at Amazon as well, and I know that internally we're doing a bunch of cool things with regards to security. I'm just working out what I can talk about and what I can't. So, there's a product. I think it's there's a product called Aardvark, which is about being an agentic security researcher that is, as of 2 days ago, it's now part of Codex Security at OpenAI. So, like, the ideas of kind of AI tooling being bad at security are kind of like a thing which is, geez, I mean, that mindset sort of went out of date all of 2 days ago.
Right.
So
I think it's already pretty good. I mentioned this before you joined, but we were talking about security, and I also mentioned that AI was actually pretty solid at pen testing and like web security. So lately, even on bug bounty platforms, there's a lot of people that have like their own AI pipelines, and so they use basically that to help them find vulnerabilities faster, and actually it works great. If you do it correctly, it works great.
yeah, it's actually kind of funny. When we release each version of the new model, we actually have to kind of be really super careful about releasing it to the API use, because we know that it can be used for like red teaming, effectively, being the attacker, and it means that we have to actually slow down kind of our release process to put in safeguards on top of things to avoid that. So.
Yeah, I mean, some people still get it working. I think at least I know that with Claude it's pretty easy because basically what Entropic did is that now you can basically use Claude in CTF competitions, right? So if you have like that capture the flag context, so within security, then Claude will basically work on the specific topic. But then you can basically use that to kind of bypass the safeguards sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun space to be in. Scary space, but fun.
Yeah.
100%.
Josh, guys, while we got you here, I'm kind of curious, like, so from your perspective, what's like really exciting in the AI sphere, like other than, LLMs getting better with each release, like what's some like really cool tooling coming out? Like, OpenClaw obviously got a lot of hype, but like what do you find interesting in the space?
I think the idea that so I think agentic models have been really good at doing the I write code and that sort of thing. But I think the idea of like that's the limit of what they can do is a very short-sighted perspective. So if you think about like what does I write code enable? It basically enables you to do anything that it enables you to work with anything that's got an API in all of humanity. So anything that you can attach some sort of any sort of automation, you can write code to trigger that, whether that's your coffee machine, your fridge, your I don't know, your school project, your weather system, your bank accounts, your whatever it is in your life that has any sort of aspect of like ability to access information that is kind of programmatically accessed is now fodder for being able to be automated in a way which is personal, right? And I think that's what sort of the open core stuff really sort of showed, was this idea of like personalizing the access to like all of your information that's available. And that's super exciting to me. As a software developer, the other thing that's there is like, just taking that extra step back. We've got that really cool kind of like inner cycle of dealing with like doing the write a spec, write some software that meets that, test it, release it, etc. That's easy. But the bigger things of like, well, what does the software development lifecycle look like as a whole? As an agile guy for a very long time, sort of indoctrinated in like Scrum and all those sort of like methodologies, I kind of take a step back and go, well, maybe the original kind of waterfall software development lifecycle has actually got some interesting things, which if you look at the parts of that seemed like they were the expensive parts back in, the 70s or 60s when that methodology was sort of created, those things have become inexpensive, and maybe we actually moved back to kind of like that waterfall approach to building software, because we've changed the economics of a bunch of the things in that. And you can sort of look back at that sort of like idea of doing that big spec up front and that sort of flowing through and having these parts that sort of just, whenever there's a problem in the lower layer, it sort of just bubbles back up and you adjust the spec, or you adjust the implementation plan, or the whatever. So like there's all these things that are kind of like that big picture personalization side of things, but also like the software development lifecycle. Two exciting areas that I'm most excited about.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I do think it's an extremely exciting time for software development and the world in general. Personally, I find I really enjoy kind of like the creative aspect of like being able to create things with software, right? You can make games, you can make websites, you can make nice things to make your life better. And being able to just have AI do that for me is like I can both have a lot more free time, and I can also create like 10 times the amount of projects in the same time. So I just find that super cool.
Yeah, something one of my old friends sort of mentioned was the idea of doing projects that you wouldn't necessarily have thought that you would want to worry about putting time into. So his example was he runs Docker in his home lab, and he runs Diun, so Diun, which does like notifications of Docker updates. But there's a missing step in there, which is the idea that when you get that notification, you want to actually trigger something that can actually update your Docker containers in your on your NAS or your home lab or whatever. And so he just hooked up a bot that hung out in his, I can't remember if it was Discord or Slack, that gets those notifications and then spits out a button that says, yes, I do want to update this. And it was a super simple thing, but he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have actually have spent time on that if it weren't for like throwing it at a model and saying, hey, just do this. So I think we solve a bunch of those just tiny little problems that like are the scratching the itch kind of thing in software development for ourselves, and that sort of in general makes life better incrementally better for everyone, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Recently I've been working on a website with Radzilla, and it was really cool. Like, so I wanted to use the new, like, someone posted in the showcase on the Ratatouille Discord like a virtual keyboard, right? And so I looked in the repo and I saw that it had like a hard dependency on cross term, right? It wasn't actually meant for like mobile. So I thought instantly like, oh darn, I can't use this. But then I was like, wait, hold up. Let me just send this to the AI and get it working, right? So I added to my repo and I just tell the AI, hey, integrate this into my project. And it just totally rewrote it to make it usable. And I was like, okay, well, that's awesome. Like, I either wouldn't have done that or, it would have taken me time. And then, in the very next hour, I was like, okay, well, I want to use MD2E to render blogs for my website. And so I look at MD2E, and it also has a hard dependency on crossterm and a bunch of other stuff. And I'm like, okay, AI, make this work for my website, make it work on mobile, and it just did it, and it one-shot it, right? And so and it was like a multi-thousand line change. It seemed pretty complicated. Probably would have taken me a while to do, but AI had it done in like 30 minutes. So, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. It's an exciting world that we live in these days. But even beyond that, I think some of the cool things, like one of the guys on the team internal to OpenAI on the Codex team that works on the app just had the app basically with a few small pieces of information about his family. He said, write this book, generate like the story and then the like diagrams for the story, and put it together into like a PDF that could basically be output to like an actual physical story for his daughters, that sort of had them in the story and had kind of pictures of them sort of going through the story. And he was using Codex to kind of chain all the pieces that you needed for that to work together. And like, that's not a coding thing, it's just a thing, which was really cool. So like the space in which these tools helps us, like whether that's something's going wrong in my computer, diagnose the logs for me. Like I generally, if there's a CI problem, I just copy the link to the CI straight into Codex and say, fix it for me. Like there's so many of these little things which you go, what's my general process of thinking through this, spending the time understanding it, pulling all the information together, etc. All of that time just goes away when you've got a tool which can kind of do those things really quickly.
Yeah, well, what do we do with all this free time?
Do more things.
It's just an output machine type shit.
But yeah, I mean, either do more things or like, I don't know, do more exciting things. I think it'd be really cool. Sorry?
I said touch grass.
Yeah. Like some like already people are kind of doing things where they've got their phone as being kind of their remote control of their coding agent,
That's
which is kind of cool. So like it'll be realistic in. I'd say people are probably already doing this, but I don't know that. But like driving to work in the morning, sitting on your phone and talking to your phone through the problems of the day is a realistic thing that will happen. Like absolute no joke that'll be a thing in less than 3 months. And not because I know that it's coming, but because I can see all the bits are there to be able to make it happen.
So you're talking like you're just going out and just controlling your computer and your whole workflow through your phone?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people do this already. The phone bit. I think the next bit is hooking into like CarPlay and Android. What's Android Car and whatever the equivalent of CarPlay is there. Android Auto. That's the one. And like being able to like literally be on the way to work, have your conversation on the way to work, which is about the things that are happening, and get things kicked off for the day, and have like 5 or 10 different things ready for you to kind of walk into and check their status after you have your coffee and get started for the day.
Wait, so
that's a realistic thing.
So you go to work, you talk to your car while going to work, then what is work, you know, in this scenario? Because you know what I mean?
Yeah, so there's a good blog post by a guy called Ryan Lapopolo at OpenAI about talking through a product that he and a small team of, I think it was 3 people, kind of worked on, where I think he says in there that like his job isn't to write code anymore. His job is to review the code that the model wrote, and even then, his job is really to work out, does this solve the problems that I've had in a way that's reasonable and aligns with the guardrails that I put in place for the software. And that was architecture was like this calls like these parts of the system call this, and these don't. And then like basically your job is now tell the model what you want, come back later and say, does this meet the needs of like the people that want this feature? Your job is a reviewer. It's like a PM for a bunch of junior developers, checking that their work is good.
Yeah, there's probably gonna have to be a lot of reshuffling in like the job market, or like not even the job market, but like within a company, the way like software engineering teams work, the way they're structured, that's gonna have to change a lot. I saw recently people discussing like it was like a big company did layoff, like the Squarespace one, and they were saying how like they just genuinely don't need as many engineers anymore. Like a team of like 2 people is does the same work as like 20 people. And on the one hand, it's obviously scary for people who may lose their jobs, but I mean it's also just really interesting in how companies are going to be structured.
Yeah. I think companies will. I think it's interesting to see companies sort of laying off people and such. I think in general it's a mistake. I think what companies need to be doing is finding ways that they can do more with the people that they have, rather than looking for ways to say, hey, you know what, I've got cost cutting. So I kind of look at it and go, the people that kind of get let go there are probably not necessarily being let go purely because of AI. They're being let go because they're like, I mean, the business needs are changing over time, I guess. But maybe that's a very short-sighted perspective on things. I think there's always going to be space in software development to kind of do the right things and know what software development really is. And I think the people that kind of build the skills in learning to use the tools are the ones that are going to like shape what that looks like in the future.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think are some like interesting societal implications of like AI getting used more and more? And not just for us programmers, like being able to create more apps and write lots more code, but kind of the general thing, like also tying into like robotics and automation. Like, what do you think might be like some interesting changes that will happen societally?
I think it's just a lot of things get unlocked in terms of things that. So I think one of the things that when you're talking about software development to just a normal person that isn't a software developer, they have this impression that doing things multiple times is a lot of work. But for a software developer, that's just a for loop, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we're now in that same sort of mindset, but things which we thought was a lot of work to do, and it might be categorization of things in a large sort of large amount of things that are all kind of different and disparate. Can be like, okay, cool, I can point a camera at a thing and go, is this a hot dog or not a hot dog? If you want to look at the kind of Silicon Valley TV show kind of joke, but like that's a thing that's just inherently like we've changed the mindset of what is possible to do fast, in the same way that is like doing things multiple times is just a for loop for us. If you can do it once, you can do it a million times, you can do it a billion times. We've got all this new stuff which we make assumptions on as being hard problems, and now they're not. And I think that's the biggest thing, that you just got to go, well, what are the things which we thought were hard problems, now they're not. And there are so many of them.
Yeah, so lots of opportunity to improve life.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, look over all of my life and look at all of the open threads that I've got in my life that I need to prioritize and work out what to do next and where to spend my time and what to automate and what to like delegate and what to actually do myself. That's a thing that you can throw as a task to AI to help you with. And that would be a lot of time thinking generally, whereas you can just say, hey, I've just delegated that thinking to AI now.
Yeah, just as an anecdote, my mom works like in theater, nothing technical. She has to do a bunch of paperwork and kind of like manual, just like business work, right? And so I was able to like, part of her job is like she has to like organize receipts and images and stuff like that, and like work through a lot of tools. A bunch of it is manual. And so there's like a lot of like, really manual time consuming tasks that she has to do on the computer. And I was able to just, have AI write a script that does all that for her. So, that was really awesome to be able to like write a script that saves my mom like kind of hours. And it's just kind of cool, right? It doesn't make any money, doesn't do anything like that, but it saves time for like my family members, which is like awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of that in my past, and it might be stupid things like setting up Excel spreadsheets, and that sort of thing. The manual hard way. Oh, you can do that. You can do that sort of. You can set up a macro that does that thing, and saves hours every week. In that same sort of way. But now we've democratized that ability, right? And it's only going to get better from here, where the tooling enables these ideas. It's like, okay, I do this thing that takes me, I don't know, an hour every week in Excel. What happens if that just becomes a button? There's an hour that you've now got back that you don't have to do. And what was the task that your mum had to do there?
It was like organizing receipts with images and then like converting between formats so that she could like publish it and like send it to a PDF, or like had to transfer it to like a special format. It's like this kind of work.
Yeah. You'd be surprised about how many of those things exist in every single professional job and non-professional job. Like, that's why so many people are employed in these places. And maybe that's where I think the societal change will come from, where we look at things where there's a lot of people doing this sort of busy work, which is significantly easier to do correct and exactly right every single time if you automate it. And then we have to think about, well, why are these people in this job? I think my perspective, and this is something that I still don't know the answers to, and I don't know a good way of looking at it is, do people deserve to have a job, even if that job could be automated? And that's sort of that weird, like, what is your role in society as a person? Is your role and the things that make you special as a person, are they that you have a job and that job is meaningful and whatever? Or like there's all these things that I look back and go, like, these aren't computer science kind of questions, they're society questions, and I have no idea on that and how to answer those things.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
extremely complicated. Sharp.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that no one can really answer those questions because we can't really know what kind of impact it will have until it comes, right? Until it's the case. So I think it's hard, but at the same time it's also kind of frightening, because obviously like some jobs will be replaced, but like if really a lot of jobs get replaced by AI, then what will the people do? And that's the question.
Yeah.
I know anecdotally, I live in California. I used to live in the Bay Area, and we have the BART, which is like our rail system. and so they like set up like a whole automated or like okay, the short story is basically they refused to automate their work, and they stayed completely like on paper with a bunch of people pushing papers because the union voted that, you know, if they automate the work, a bunch of people are going to lose their jobs. So it's kind of like, you know, it's like I don't want people losing their jobs, but I also don't want progress being stifled and people keeping like really useless jobs that can be removed. So that's kind of like you know, there should be like probably societal safeguards and stuff like that, but I don't want like progress being stifled.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's perfectly valid for people to say, "Hey, you know what? We don't want automation in our jobs," and that sort of thing. I think it's short-sighted because it means that you're saying, "Hey, the things that we do in this job are limited to exactly what I'm doing now, and I'm never going to do more." But I guess that idea of like actively choosing not to do more is a choice that is valid.
Well, also me as a taxpayer, because, you know, Bart is paid by taxes. It's like, well, I want my taxes to be used efficiently and not to keep this ineffective system.
I guess the question is like, do you have a right to force people to be as efficient as possible? Or do you have a right that's sort of like that there should be a reasonable level of efficiency? Like, is the goal maximum or is it reasonable?
It's definitely a good question.
And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can't really determine stuff like I guess I share the same prospect with Shard on this. I mean, can't really mentally decide what people are gonna, you know, what's the outcome's gonna happen. Different people are gonna use it differently. It's I don't even know what. Bro, this shit is making me lose my head.
Especially because we're in a society where we're insanely work centric, right? It's mostly
Yeah.
about work. Work is kind of the main topic. So what will happen? Like when will the topic change? Will it be something else? Like it's hard to know, but it will definitely change at some points because
Hey.
companies, even when the people, even if the workers won't accept it, companies will start pushing more and more automation to jobs and to replace the people because it's more cost effective. So
Capitalism, baby. I think it's gonna destroy itself, maybe. Who knows? Or maybe just change the way it operates. Oh, God, I feel like I'm dying every single time. But yeah, overall, AI is gonna get. Thank you for your insight, Josh.
Yeah.
Cool things. If you got any more indexes to share, send them my way. The DMs are always open.
Yeah, there's lots of cool blog posts on the OpenAI side of things, as well as the Claude Code or Anthropic side of things that are worth reading.
Oh, they even have a listen button, so I don't even have to read.
Yeah. That second one I've worked fairly closely with Ryan on just chatting about various things. So I've sort of seen the internals of what he's talking about in that article. But it's really cool, the stuff that's in there. And
the main thing for me is like how do I put it? I like the free software foundation's philosophy on software and the like. So it's the way I feel about it is like it's kind of it's like I expressed this before, but it's kind of gatekeeping the skill itself from like the free public. Like eventually people just won't code. I mean, the large majority won't. I mean, there'll be like the niche types that still do, but eventually it won't. I feel like it will be like a corporatized asset at that point. Like, I mean, sure, there will be free models, I think. I mean, they're always going to get better, but it's going to be like a corporatized market. The frontier thing for that skill set is gonna be you have to shell out cash to some corporation for the ability to produce software, which is a skill set nowadays that is oh well, it's not free, it costs you your time, but time is always on hand if you're willing to defer it. I just don't like the corporatization of software personally, especially like at a fundamental level is the skill set itself.
So my question or my perspective on that is I look at the price that we charge and Claude Code charges for this sort of thing, and I look at it and go, it's way underpriced for what you get. Like
100%.
significantly underpriced for the value that you get for $20 a month or $100 a month. Like, if you look at what does a software developer cost, whether that's in the kind of EU or the US, it's somewhere between let's say salary of somewhere between $40 to say, I don't know, $200 an hour is sort of the realm of salary kind of perspective. But if you think about like that from a perspective of for $200, can you save 5 hours worth of work in a month?
Right.
Of course you can. Like every single month, you'll easily save five hours worth of work if you're using it well. So like, sure, it's you're paying someone that, but like the value that you get out of that it should be thousands of dollars easily. Like I look at that and we're just purely selling this on value. Like the plans that Claude and OpenAI are selling are like significantly more.
Yeah, the main talking point I'm saying is not like necessarily the cost of it. I mean, it's right now it's pretty much pennies to the dollar. I paid $20 for my Claude Plus. Actually, no, it's ChatGPT Plus subscription. I mean, it's a decent subscription. It's pretty cheap. But like the 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 corporation side of things is the main issue. If you want a frontier model, you're not going to get something open weight. And even open weights, they're not really open source in the sense that the training data and all that information is. I mean, I've seen it being a somewhat controversial talking point to say open weights is not really open source, but it's really not. So, the main issue is the corporatization itself, not necessarily like the cost or value proposition.
Got it.
Like
Yeah.
I think it's more of a societal issue when it comes to this, obviously, especially like when it comes to ideologies and the like. So, um, like in the future, I see this going in the way that most things go. It's going to get heavily adopted. It's such a low barrier to entry, but it's like gatekeeping a skill set, and it's kind of, from my personal understanding of what information is being coming out, it's kind of like diminishing the people's abilities to gain these skill sets, as well as like the people that are adopting these things that are just new individuals, like that are new to the field. They're not going to step back or like pick up a couple things in the in the in between, they're just gonna roll with the punches. So it's gonna end up in a situation where they don't know how to code, but they're gonna have to, use these tools that are provided to them. Like it's not really like the cost. It could be like $10 or $2, $1 if I care. But the barrier to entry is still there. It's the money you need to shell out to this the corporation. Like the corporation is basically like the what's a good analogy? The only thing I can think of is like Koroshis in Cyberpunk. Your ability to see is gated against this corporation Koroshi that you're not necessarily in control of. That's the main issue I have with the whole AI thing. I mean, it's always going to be an ideology thing in the end because like skill sets can be learned and shared and whatnot.
If I may respond to that, I mean, I
Yeah.
think that those are pretty valid points, but you also got to keep in mind that, I mean, I think a lot of people, if you want to learn to code, you will learn to code. And I think,
Right.
there's nothing stopping that. I think also AI is really good at helping you learn to code. Like, I feel like, like my rate of learning has gone like way up ever since I started using AI. And then about like the corporate
Same.
blocking, like that kind of exists at all the levels. Like, sure, like AI providers are a level, but you also need a computer, which is like
True.
Apple or AMD making those components. Like you can't just get that out of thin air. You need electricity, which is like your government's power grid. So I mean, when you think of it, like as barriers to entry, I mean, getting a computer with electricity and internet is already like kind of a big barrier to entry when you think about like the global population. So I mean, it's a
fair
valid
point.
concern that like there's people who, I mean, I find myself getting like really dependent on AI, and I do get a bit worried sometimes. Like, hey man, like if this AI stuff disappears, like, and I gotta code by hand again, I feel like I'm gonna be in the Stone Age. But it's just kind of like a way of life, Everything costs money. That's just the world we live in.
I mean, fair point. Fair point.
Hmm.
I
I
guess
think. Sorry, go
yeah.
on.
I'm just used to the way things currently are. I'm like, it's a like personally, it's like affected, the fields that I personally cared for like heavily. Um, and I just, the amount of control I have over the actual movements of the scene is not necessarily to my liking. I'd prefer the the abilities to do more with what we have access to be a little bit. I mean, you can already do a fair bit with the actual architecture is like something that you know personally care for a little bit more. I want to break it entirely and then rebuild it.
Hmm. So a little bit of my background. So I started programming when I was about 6 years old, and I'm turning 45 this year. So in terms of writing code, I've been doing it for a very long time, and I kind of it took me a second for me to really be like, okay, this is a thing that replaces that idea of like I want to write code. And like it was a couple of months into sort of working at OpenAI that I really sort of made that full transition of like I don't write code anymore because I don't need to. So like I think it is a huge change to get into that mindset. But I think we get there. I think there'll be people that push back against it for various reasons, whether that's ethical, whether that's sort of environmental, whether that's resistance to change, Luddism, whatever those perspectives are. But I think it's one of those things of like the railway is here and it's coming and you can't stop progress. So I think the best result is to kind of like look at, well, how do we use it and how do we use it well, and it's never going to be like, how do we avoid using it?
Right.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, I guess.
I mean, it's a fortunate tool set. I mean, it was gonna eventually happen. I feel like it's kind of like one of those things to where like we were already at a certain point. It's something like this was kind of gonna come along.
Mm. We opened Pandora's box of AI.
I mean, half true. Like we're gonna get the benefits and the downsides. I mean, it's you can already see it in the software landscape as it is. I mean, the all zeitgeist entirely. Actually, I mean, the one thing I haven't seen like captured more fully is like the writing side of things. Um, like a lot of people are just shelling out bucks, just writing everything they can think of.
Writing code or like text, like
Like
novels.
text, like books and stuff. Like there's a lot of slot books that are coming out, but I can also see like a lot of decent things that would get like assisted with the AI writing and all that.
Yeah.
Is my data store? My data store is fair. Sorry, my apologies.
Good. Listen, I need to duck off and do some things. But yeah, I randomly sort of came across this. I was sort of just sitting on my couch browsing my YouTube, and I saw the Grindhouse hang, and I figured I'd come into my study and come say hi. Yeah,
Thank you for stopping by.
yeah.
Yep.
Nice to meet you guys, and
Yeah.
keep in
Thanks,
touch.
bye.
Ciao.
Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.
Guys, let's wrap this up as well. It's been
Yeah.
it's been 3 hours. It was really fun. Talked about many things. Any last points that you want to discuss? We're gonna do this every month probably, so yeah, we're gonna catch up. But yeah, just any last words?
Any last words?
I love AI.
No.
I love Rust.
I love Rust.
I love
hope,
Rust as well.
I hope we'll all be able to keep writing Rust.
100%.
That's a good closing phrase. I like that. Cool.